Everyone, and welcome to the 63rd annual Deborah Morton Convocation ceremony. My name is Alicia Faraday, and I am the Vice President of Institutional Advancement. On behalf of the university, I would like to welcome members of the Deborah Morton Society, past UNE trustees, and members of the UNE community joining us for this celebration. I would also like to ask you to join me in a very special welcome to our honorees this afternoon, Diane Collins Field, right there, and Karin Gregory. If you have attended any one of the previous 62 Deborah Morton Society convocations, you will have already noticed something different about this one. For the first time ever, UNE is holding this event on its Biddeford campus. This venue change was inspired by current society members who want UNE undergraduate students to have access to the stories, experiences, and connections these accomplished women can share. We look forward to the creation of new relationships and possibilities this afternoon. Now it is my pleasure to introduce UNE Dean of Students and Vice President of Student Affairs, Jennifer Deborah.
Thank you, Alicia. Good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to participate in this celebration of exceptional Maine women leaders. This event allows us to honor exceptional women of the present and of our past, and one woman in particular. Deborah Nichols Morton entered Westbrook Seminary in the fall of 1876 and graduated as valedictorian of her class 3 years later. She spent the next few years teaching in her hometown of Round Pond before returning to Westbrook as a member of the faculty in 1884 and then as preceptress in 1885. During the next 30 years, she would spend the school year teaching young women French and rhetoric, and her summers exploring Europe and the Middle East. In 1917, with a pandemic and World War looming, Deborah took a 5-year leave of absence to serve her community as the president of the Women's Literary Union and as an active member of the YWCA War Council. She returned to Westbrook to teach French until she retired, and Deborah died in 1947. Deborah Morton was a woman who was ahead of her time, living in a world when expectations for women were very different than they are now. She was a scholar, leader, mentor, teacher, and adventurer. The Deborah Morton Award was established in 1961 to recognize Maine women who, like the award's namesake, have distinguished themselves through their work, public service, and leadership in civic, cultural, and social causes. In 1964, Dorothy Healy, another Westbrook legacy, described Deborah Morton in this way. She was a Maine, a down east Yankee in character, but in no way provincial. Healy also said that Miss Morton taught her 2 lessons of immense value. The first, that education is a never-ending quest, that indeed life itself is of little or no value when the will to learn has stopped. And 2, that every idea worth holding is worth doubting, testing, and evaluating. I think Deborah Morton would be very much at home at UNE today, and UNE is incredibly proud to have inspirational leaders like Deborah Morton in its institutional history. At this time, I would like to welcome to the podium President James Herbert.
Thanks so much, Jen. I appreciate that. It's nice to see everyone. Such a nice mix of our honorees, of course, but then family and some students and some of our professional staff and faculty. So thank you all for coming out today. I want to thank Alicia and Jen for your comments. And, Jen, as you were just talking, it really resonated. Deborah Morton's the focus that she had on lifelong learning, which is very much part of our DNA at UNE, and also on the sense of humility, the idea of there's so much to learn and to know that we don't know. Those things have been on my mind lately because I was just telling somebody yesterday, actually I was just telling Len yesterday, that I feel like I learn so much every week. I'm in a constant state of learning, and yet I'm getting stupider and stupider. by the day because, and hear me out, here's why. So if you think about it, this is in the way. If you think about it, it's like I learn more, right? But then as my knowledge just gets a little bit more and more, I realize how much there is to know and how much, therefore, I don't know. So the ratio of my realization of how much there is to know versus how much I know just keeps shrinking. And so, by the day I die, I'll just be, completely, I won't even know my name. So anyway, but seriously, the emphasis on lifelong learning is something that we take very seriously here, and we should all aspire to the values that Deborah Morton laid out in that regard. So welcome to the 63rd annual Convocation ceremony to carry on this tradition of the Deborah Morton Society. And it's a real privilege to be able to carry this on and to recognize so many visionary women leaders, many of whom are in the room with us tonight. So thank you for the former Debbies, well, current Debbies, but former Deborah Morton inductees that have joined us as well. And so could I ask just for a moment, all the people that are with us today, the former, why am I saying former inductees, the current Debbies, those who are part of the Deborah Morton Society, could you please stand to be recognized? Thank you so much, and it's an honor to have you join us today. And I also want to remember the members of the Deborah Morton Society who we've lost in the past year. And these include Marjorie Boyd, Dodie Detmer, Kay Flanagan, Ruth Foster, and Barbara Goodbuddy. So if we can just have a moment of silence in recognition of those extraordinary women. Thank you. Their memories will certainly live on with us. UNE has a long commitment for preparing women leaders, and their impact can be felt throughout the state of Maine and beyond. We have many of our graduates, we're very privileged to say, are in leadership positions just across the country. Our board chair, for example, just as one example, is a double UNE alumni. She did her undergraduate work at UNE and her DO, her physician, doctor of osteopathic medicine, and she's now the medical director at Cary Medical Center up in Caribou, Maine. And that's just one example of literally hundreds and hundreds of women leaders. These leaders can be felt, their impact can be felt through hospitals and clinics throughout the state, in classrooms, on the water in the Gulf of Maine, with oyster farms and other aquaculture work, certainly in the business community, many leaders. This tradition that we have at UNE of educational access for women and for other groups that have traditionally been marginalized and not been part of the educational system, this is something that runs very deep in our DNA. And it started back with Westbrook College, which was formerly known as Westbrook Junior College, and formerly before that, Westbrook Seminary, started in 1831, admitting women to college, providing higher education at a time when very, very few institutions in the country may open their doors to women. And so that sort of set the tone, set the stage for UNE's commitment to educating people who might not otherwise have that opportunity. That's on this very campus in Biddeford, there's a similar story, not focused on women, but focused on the sons of Quebecois French immigrants, French-speaking immigrants, who literally, in many cases, walked over the mountains into Maine to come work in the mills in Biddeford. And those folks, they spoke French, they were Catholic, and they weren't welcome in the local schools, including the high schools. And so the Franciscan Brothers of St. Francis College, right on this very campus, started a program, initially a high school program, to teach these young men, initially in French, but then transitioning to English. And then that high school program became a junior college, which eventually became St. Francis College. And that's the second piece of our legacy. And then finally, our College of Osteopathic Medicine, the New England College of Osteopathic Medicine, was a grassroots effort of physicians who, recognizing there was no college of medicine and that Maine needed doctors, they literally pooled their money, took out mortgages on their house to create a medical school right here on this campus, partnered up with the Franciscan Brothers to use space right on this campus. And that was very much a grassroots effort. And the legacy, the tradition that these roads to access has become instantiated in our DNA at UNE. And currently, just as an example, we have fully a third of our undergraduate students are first generation students, like me, the first in their family to have the privilege of going to college. And so that tradition is very much with us. And so our focus on training women leaders is very much consistent with that tradition. And we even have some members back there, students who are part of our Women in Business Club. And it's very kind of them. One thing I've recently learned about the Women in Business Club is they actually do welcome men to come to some of their events. So there you go. That's a great thing as well. It's really is a pleasure to be part of a place that takes students, many of whom, not all, but many of whom come from modest backgrounds and provides a truly transformative education, puts them on a completely different life path. And I'll spare you my shtick about all the ways that UNE does that and all of the outcomes and the data and everything, but to suffice it to say that it's a really inspiring place to be at, because to see the difference we make in people's lives. We focus a lot on hands-on learning, experiential learning, and students, I hope you guys will hang out afterwards and mingle with some of the folks in the room, because these are the exemplars of the Nor'easter Global Network that we're forming. And for those who haven't heard about that yet, we're going to be forming a network. We're working on it right now. We're going to be rolling it out in the spring, of professionals, men and women who are willing to give back by mentoring our students and talking to our students at whatever level to help prepare them for the world of work, so that when they graduate, they truly are going to be able to hit the ground running. So, and the Deborah Morton Society members are exactly the kind of people that we're eager to have be part of that network. I'm pleased that we're moving the campus here to to Biddeford, because with the move of the College of Osteopathic Medicine to Portland and creating a truly health sciences campus on the campus in Portland, which we renamed to the Portland campus for the health sciences, that was sort of the final piece to consolidating all of our health programs up there. But it has the equal benefit of allowing this campus to really have an identity as our residential undergraduate campus. And that doesn't mean that we don't have any graduate students on this campus, but it really is the home for the undergraduates. And it gives this campus a different identity. And because Deborah Morton was focused on undergraduate populations, and that's really been kind of the focus of the society, we thought it was fitting to have the ceremony on this campus. And we actually had hoped to have more students. In fact, the Lynn's Presidential Ambassador Program that she runs, she encouraged all of them to come, and every single one of them has class at this time. We didn't realize that when we scheduled it, that this is apparently one of the most popular class times, so we don't have more of them, but I'm glad we have some students with us, so thank you for coming. So at this time, I would like to turn our attention to our honorees today, and these are two remarkable women who I have known personally since I came to the university, and I consider them both good friends, and they're the kind of people who have given so much of themselves in so many ways to the university, and the University of New England is a better place because of both of them, and I really mean that, and it's such a pleasure to be able to honor these two women. So the first I want to talk about is Diane Collins Field. Over the course of a very impressive 35-year career, Diane held senior leadership roles at some of Maine's most respected financial institutions, including Androscoggin Bank, People's United Bank, and Key Bank. Her expertise spanned retail, trust, and commercial banking, leaving a lasting impact on the industry. But Diane's influence reaches far beyond her professional achievements. She's dedicated her time and her talents to strengthening organizations across Maine, and that's in addition to UNE. She currently serves as president of the Maine Women's Giving Tree and as a corporator of Bath Savings Bank. Her commitment to healthcare and education is evident through her service on the Midcoast Hospital Board and Auxiliary Board, and her 12 years as a trustee of the University of New England, where she chaired our Finance Committee. Diane's leadership extends nationally as well. She served as past New England governor of the Optimist International and was honored with the Outstanding Governor's Award in 2003. Diane truly does exemplify what it means to lead with vision, integrity, and generosity. Please join me in celebrating her extraordinary career and unwavering dedication to our community. And I have to say, one last thing. As a native Mainer, Diane is the third in her family to be inducted into the Deborah Morton Society, joining her cousin, Senator Susan Collins, and her aunt, Patricia McGuinn Collins. So, Diane, please join me up here.
Good afternoon. Full house. Welcome. I am honored to join the Deborah Morton Society and to follow the footsteps of two of my extended family. I want to thank the Deborah Morton Society Committee for selecting me. I'd also like to thank my husband Sumner and our children for their love and ongoing support. We have a whole crew here today. So, University of New England is a unique and special place. I was very fortunate to have a seat on the UNE board for 12 years, as James mentioned. And I can tell you that all of our board decisions were centered around the student life, learning and education, sports, social, and travel experiences to create opportunities for growth, optimism, empathy, and intellectual engagement, all the while enjoying the benefits of 3 beautiful campuses. President Herbert, your deans, the faculty and staff, they work 24/7 to make these opportunities happen. As an alum of Westbrook College, the Deborah Morton story was well known. We learned about her contributions in college when it was Westbrook Seminary, and it was located in what was then the town of Westbrook, now has become Portland. She was a woman of many talents and demonstrated her leadership as she moved from student to teacher and world traveler while always returning home to Maine. We honor her for the ways that she moved women forward, always pushing for change. My journey started in Rockland, Maine, in a family that valued community and volunteerism. My parents never directly said I should be a volunteer, but they demonstrated it through their own actions as role models. They were deeply involved in our church, the school system, and the greater community. My first volunteer activities included my church, Penn Bay Medical Center as a candy striper, and the American Field Service local chapter for student exchanges abroad. These early activities were stepping stones to further leadership roles, gaining social and work networks, and learning my own appreciation for how important volunteering was to each community that we have lived in. My first job while earning my business degree at Westbrook College was with Maine National Bank. I was fortunate that in the world of banking in Maine, volunteering was always encouraged. Sam Ladd was one of my earliest mentors, an example of working to improve the life of others. Sam suggested that I work as a bank liaison for the United Way agency during their fundraising seasons. As my career evolved, I was active in several other local chamber organizations and other nonprofits, which gave me a great deal of personal satisfaction and enjoyment. I made numerous friends and valuable business acquaintances over the years. Other influences included Westbrook College's Professor Vaughn Twaddell and Annie Storr, the art director for what was then the Westbrook College Payson Gallery of Art in the late 1970s. I see some nodding. Both individuals encouraged me, sometimes pushed me, to work harder to figure out what my passions might be. They challenged me to consider options beyond my comfort zone. And after I graduated, I looked back and realized that these two people gave generously of their time and their talent to others and to students outside of the classroom. Their actions had a positive impact as I entered the professional world. Once I retired, my desire to volunteer continued. I sat on the board of the Midcoast Hospital and served as the president of the hospital auxiliary. And I currently, as James said, serve as president for a nonprofit, the Maine Women's Giving Tree. It is a philanthropic organization in the Midcoast area that provides grants to organizations that serve women and children. Volunteering still fulfills my passion for meeting new people and supporting others in need. I would encourage the students in the room here today to embrace the opportunities that would come around to volunteer your time in an organization that feeds your passion. This might be working with the elderly, children, animals, food banks, or any other worthwhile organization that we have here in Maine, or wherever you may land after graduation. This effort will also lead you to so many amazing new people and to push you outside your comfort zone. I know that UNE has prepared you for the challenges of the future, and I hope it will include sharing yourself as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Diane. Okay. I'm now honored to present our second Deborah Morton awardee today, Karin Gregory. Karin is co-founder and managing partner of Blue Highway Growth Capital, a growth equity and impact investing, a growth equity fund in investing in business across rural America. With more than 35 years of experience as an attorney, an executive, and an investor, Karin has built a career defined by innovation to community development. And a lot of that community development, you can see right here, her impact in Biddeford. She is a giant locally. Before launching Blue Highway, Karin served as chair of CEI Ventures, a socially responsible impact private equity firm, and on the board of its parent company, Coastal Enterprises Incorporated, a nonprofit dedicated to rural business and community development. She also co-founded Furman Gregory Deptula. Did I get that right? Okay, Deptula, a full-service law firm representing early-stage life science technology companies and micro businesses. Karin's influence extends both nationally and locally. She serves on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors Community Advisory Committee, the Impact Capital Managers Board, and as a founding board member of Accelera Incorporated, a Maine-based med tech company. She also contributes her expertise to the UNE College of Business Advisory Board and the City of Biddeford's Downtown Development Commission. Throughout her remarkable career, Karin has served on numerous for-profit and nonprofit boards across New England and is a longtime member of the Boston Club. Her academic achievements are equally impressive, holding degrees from Wells College, Boston University, and the University of New Hampshire School of Law, along with advanced certifications from Cornell University. Karin exemplifies vision, dedication, and a deep commitment to creating opportunities, particularly in rural communities. Please join me in celebrating her outstanding contributions and leadership. Karin?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the members of the nominating committee of the Deborah Morton Society and to the trustees of UNE for this marvelous recognition. It is truly an honor to be included in this outstanding group of women leaders whose journeys help transform Maine's landscape, starting with Deborah Morton. I am especially delighted to share the stage today with my friend Diane. I have pursued many interests in my now 40-plus year career. It's getting longer. Help us to do the things that matter. It's a proverb that has shaped my career, that's combined healthcare, law, business, and investing. My husband, however, refers to my career as his personal roller coaster ride. I am most proud of my work in Boston at Dana-Farber with the city's Department of Health and Hospitals, and then for co-founding Karin Gregory and Blue Highway Growth Capital later in my life. The law firm and Blue Highway have launched numerous businesses that have scaled to attract employees and consumers throughout Maine, throughout New England, and the United States. However, any success that I have had has been because it was a team effort from talented professionals all working together, many of them whom are women who continue to inspire me today. Our move to Maine made my connection with UNE possible. Being able to serve on the board with Diane, help build out both campus facilities, and to invest in its growth continues to be a source of great joy. UNE enables me to stay involved in many ways, such as serving as an advisor for the new College of Business. UNE is truly a centerpiece for Maine's economy, for which I am very proud to continue my association. In all of my career pivots, God has blessed me with strong supporters and mentors in my path. My parents, in particular, my mother who said, "You should be a lawyer," and I never really wanted to do that, but then I did. My dear friends, many of whom are here today to support me, my daughter, Doherty, and my steadfastly supportive spouse, Don, who are also here today. They listen to me and cheer me on as I contemplate my next venture, but keep me grounded. One of my passions remains supporting and strengthening women of all ages in their endeavors and efforts to make a difference. I have a quote on my desk from Eleanor Roosevelt that says, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." I encourage all of you to keep dreaming and do the things that matter for society. It will make a difference in the lives of others and in yours. Thank you.
Congratulations, Karin and Diane. This concludes today's convocation. I invite you to join us for dessert and networking in the lounge behind you. Thank you all for joining us celebrating these two distinguished women and the legacy of Deborah Morton.